Hey, Foundation. Happy Wednesday night. Hope you guys had an awesome day of serving families, having fun, growing as individuals. I want to give you a couple of thoughts for tomorrow as we go into the second half of the week. On two things. One on the technical sales side, and then the other on the attitude side. First, in terms of technical sales, I want to talk to you guys about how to do something a little more effectively that Brianna was talking about this past Sunday when it came to painting pictures. Brianna touched on it, and then she touched on a lot of other topics. I want to dig into that one a little more deeply because when you connect with families on a personal level and you really help them understand exactly why this would fit their needs, not just the general needs, people are way more excited. And the way you do that is by asking the questions that we have in our sales talk, and then as you begin to get that need surfacing. So you're talking to a family and you know that it is a BC student that really struggles in math, and they're incredibly frustrated by it. That's a pretty easy need. That's a pretty obvious need. A lot of times where I find that a lot of people struggle is selling to the honors kids, whether it's the AB honor roll kids, the straight A students, people that are in gifted and talented programs. Whereas anyone that's done this job for long enough will tell you that once you get good at connecting with those families, they're actually some of the easiest people to sell to, and they're some of the ones that actually, in a lot of ways, need the books the most. They're the kids that are getting the most homework, involved in the most activities, and they need something to save some time, and you guys have it. So the way you do that is, assuming that it's not like a slam dunk need, is you ask follow-up questions. So if they're saying straight A's, one of the good questions to ask is, now for me, I would phrase it this way. If you are not a straight A student, then you can always say, I know a lot of straight A students, and then go on. But the way I always phrased it was like, man, I was straight A students too, Jack, and I guess for me, math and science, my A's always came fairly naturally. History and English, those are the ones I usually had to work a little harder for my A's. Which of your classes do you have to work harder for your A's in, and which ones come a little more naturally? And they'll give you something, and right away you've got something to work with at that point. And then you follow up with it, what activities, what sports, and as you're doing this, what you're trying to do is you're trying to figure out, okay, what does a night look like in the life of this kid? Like, what does homework time genuinely look like for them? And that's how you can provide a genuine service to people, is by actually saying, how would this help this specific family? And then what you do is you just paint that little picture right before you go into the rest of your introduction. So you're asking a few questions, and at that point you're able to say, man, Jack, you must have some nights where, at least I know I did when I was in high school, where I get home from a road basketball game Tuesday night, 9 p.m., and I'm sure you have nights where you get back from soccer at 9 o'clock and you still have 30 math problems to do for Mr. Hunter's honors algebra class, as well as a book report to finish for English. Have you ever have nights like that? And then what happens is you painted this picture that the kid has definitely experienced, and he's like, oh my gosh, yeah. Then at that point, what I want you to do tomorrow is follow up with just a simple question of like, yeah, it can be kind of frustrating, can it? And if they're like, yeah, no, that definitely can be frustrating, then you've found a good need. You've helped them see why this would be beneficial. And then you can transition. Now, you don't want to skip the rest of your intro at that point because a lot of good things happen in the introduction, and if you skip over it, you'll miss those things. But then you can transition right into it and be like, yeah, well, I'll tell you a couple ideas behind these, and that's exactly what they're designed to help out with. If you like them, I'll go ahead and sign you up for a set. If not, that's okay too. But I guess one of the big reasons everyone likes these is, and then you can go right to their main need and be like, it's that they save a ton of time. This isn't extra work for you. It's not, a workbook or something. This is designed to help you get more homework done in less time, because I know you're busy already, but as you get older and older, you're going to get more and more and more homework, and you're going to have less and less time to do it. These are designed to help you get more homework done in less time. That's why kids use them. I mean, kids that have these love them. And then the kid's like, oh, cool. And then you're able to tell moms, and it's cool for you too, mom, because a lot of moms tell me they want to help out with homework, but it gets tough. A lot of moms tell me the stuff's changed, or maybe they haven't done it in a long time, and it can just be a lot harder than if it was fresh out of school. If you don't use it, you lose it, right? And then, the other thing is it's not competing with what you already have. Most families have the internet access for research, and that's awesome if you're doing a report, but it's not super practical if you're studying the night for your history quiz at 8 o'clock on a Tuesday. If you Google Revolutionary War, you get a million websites. You have no idea, what's based on the Common Core, what's curriculum based. You have no idea what's going to be studied on the test. Whereas here, what we do is, it's all based on what's covered in the curriculum, and it's going to give you all the major events of each year right there in a timeline. It's a lot simpler, So, can't exactly Google that. Does it sound cool? And then typically parents are like, oh yeah, no, that sounds awesome. But what's happened is you built a good need first before you went into your introduction, which allows them to actually listen to your introduction a little bit more deeply. And at that point, when you go into your buying atmosphere, they're actually already interested. So those are a couple ideas on how to connect a little more deeply. So ask a couple questions and then paint a really vivid picture. Man, if this is a kid that gets straight A's, they play 3 different sports, they also do student council, paint that picture. Man, Jessica, you must have some nights where you get home and You bounced right from a sports practice over to a student council meeting. By the time you get home at 7 o'clock, you haven't even showered yet from the sports practice. You're pounding a late dinner, you're sweaty, you just kind of want to shower and go to bed, but you still got 30 math problems to do and a history quiz to study for. That's exactly what these are designed for. Help you get that done a lot faster. Instead of spending 2 hours, you can spend 45 minutes. Would that be cool? And if you ask a kid if you could spend 2 hours versus 45 minutes, would that be cool? Every kid says, "Oh my gosh, that'd be awesome," and then they're pretty excited about it. Let's talk the attitude side. Here's one of the biggest things that I find people make the mistake of, and this goes for first years and student leaders, is that a lot of times we have a tendency to do things like self-talk purely to keep us from being in a bad mood. But there's a huge difference in life between not being in a bad mood and actually being in a good mood. And there is no power in neutral. There is no energy. There's no vibe in neutral. There is awesome energy in positive. That's the reason why a lot of you have sales in clumps. That's the reason why if you have a sale early in the morning, a lot of times you'll have 2 or 3 before noon or before 1. Or maybe if you have a really slow day, how those days continue to kind of drag on. When you're in it and you're excited and you've got that energy level, it gives off something at the door. It's very attractive. People want to be part of that. So I would challenge you today for this, or for the rest of the week, the next 3 days, is to have self-talk that doesn't just maintain your attitude and keep you neutral and keep you away from negative, but it actually gets you excited. Like instead of saying things like, okay, you know what, I got an hour left. Okay, well, let's find 3 more families home and get a couple demos in and another presentation. Instead of having self-talk, it's like, oh man, I got an hour left. Like, let's go see if I can get 2 more presentations in. I want to find a family I can serve my books, But even if I don't, I'm gonna crack up 3 moms. I'm gonna have a blast because this job is fun, and it always works if I work. And having that like energy in your self-talk, it doesn't even matter the words that you say. If the energy behind your self-talk is positive and you have a big old smile on your face, because scientifically, when you smile, your brain releases chemicals that make you happier. So half the time it's just a matter of smiling when you know that you're not smiling for a long time, and that actually helps you quite a bit. So tomorrow, let's strive for 6 goal periods of positive instead of 6 goal periods of neutral. And if you'll connect with families and kids in the introduction, before you even go into your intro, you paint that really good picture, you guys are going to have a killer day, and you're going to provide a huge service to a lot of families in a much more tailored, much more specific to them way. Appreciate you guys. Thanks for all the work you're putting in. We are serving a ton of families out there, and it's all because of you guys' effort and your attitude and your willingness to continue to grow and stretch all the way through the summer. Talk to y'all soon.